A Song Can Change Your Life is made possible by a grant from the Fulton County Virtual Arts Initiative. Recognizing the therapeutic value of the arts and the need to support the creative community during the COVID pandemic, the Fulton County Virtual Arts Initiative offers operational support to enhance the arts sector's ability to present virtual arts programs and creative engagement opportunities for Fulton County residents and visitors. A Song Can Change Your Life is recorded in the Black Box at the Alpharetta Arts Center, located at 238 Canton Street, Alpharetta. To learn more about programs and events at the Alpharetta Arts Center, go to alpharetta.ga.us and search Arts Center, or click the link located on our website, asongcanchangeyourlife.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to A Song Can Change Your Life, where we talk with one songwriter one-on-one about one of their songs. My name is James, and we're coming to you today from the Alpharetta Arts Center in awesome Alpharetta, Georgia. Our special guest today is singer-songwriter Michael Logen. Michael's written songs for people like Johnny Lang, Kelly Clarkson, Sister Hazel, on and on. His songs have been on lots of TV shows like Nashville, Suits, Parenthood, One Tree Hill, and on and on. In today's episode, I talked to Michael about his unique childhood in northern Pennsylvania, about playing music in maximum security prisons, and about his inspiring new song called Here's to Hopin'. But before we do any of that, I want you to get to know Michael by listening to him sing. So let's go inside the Arts Center and listen to the very talented, my friend, Michael Logen.
I wrote this one with a dear friend of mine and a great artist and human being named Johnny Lang, great blues artist. And I actually opened a bunch of dates for him, and we wrote quite a bit on the road, and wrote this one called Looking for Love on his album Fight for My Soul.
You always see only what you wanna see, walking in your own reality. Are you awake or are you living in a dream? You're making movies in the back of your mind, frame by frame and line by line. Try to change and rearrange it all the time, but it is the same, and you don't know why. If you're looking for love, you're gonna find it. Looking for faith, you're gonna find it. Looking for hope, you're gonna find it. You're gonna find it. You find what you're looking for. Looking for fear, you're gonna find it. Looking for trouble, you're gonna find it. Looking for love, you're gonna find it. You're gonna finally find what you're looking for. Two men could be walking in the same shoes, and at the same time they hear the same news. One's laughing and the other one's crying. One's living and the other one's dying. Tell me now, which one are you gonna choose? 'Cause in the end it's up to you. And the fact is there's only one truth, and the difference is in the point of view. If you're looking for love, you're gonna find it. Looking for faith, you're gonna find it. Looking for hope, you're gonna find it. You're gonna finally find what you're looking for. Looking for fear, you're gonna find it. Looking for trouble, you're gonna find it. Looking for love, you're gonna find it. You're gonna finally find what you're looking for. And when you finally find it, there'll be no denying that you were holding it the whole time. And tomorrow's too late, no, you just can't wait till you're looking for love, you're gonna find it. But if you're looking for hate, you're gonna find it. And if you're looking for God, you're gonna find Him. But if you're looking for shame, looking for the rain, oh, if you're looking for love, you're gonna find it. Looking for faith, you're gonna find it. Looking for hope, you're gonna find it. Oh, 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 oh. And if you're looking for fear, you're gonna find it. Looking for trouble, you're gonna find it. Looking for love, you're gonna find it. You're gonna finally find what you're looking for. Oh, 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 yeah. So what you looking for, what you looking for, yeah, 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 you'll find it. You're gonna finally find what you're looking for.
All right, Mercy. I wrote this one with the incomparable Maren Morris, and it ended up on a TV show called Nashville. And Maren came in that day with this idea called "Wake Up When It's Over." And a lot of times you kind of just start with a title or a concept that you're not really sure what it means fully, but there's something there, and it really became a song about a relationship, but just how difficult it is to see things as they are as you're living them. It's really when you're looking back that things become clear. So anyway, it's called "Wake Up When It's Over."
It wasn't one big blow that brought our love down. It was a headline cracks that took it to the ground. Just kept creeping over time, spreading like wildfire. It wasn't one big blow that brought our love down. Ooh, we didn't wanna see, didn't wanna believe the dream was getting colder. Ooh, we begged the truth to bend. It's easier to pretend than to see it when you're sober. Yeah, you only wake up when it's over. You only wake up when it's over. There was so much about you I didn't realize. There was so much about me I couldn't recognize. But you can only get a clear view when it's fading in the rearview. There was so much about me I didn't recognize. Ooh, I didn't wanna see, didn't wanna believe the dream was getting colder. Ooh, we begged the truth to bend. It's easier to pretend than to see it when you're sober. Yeah, you only wake up when it's over. You wake up when it's over. didn't want to see, didn't want to believe the dream was getting colder. We beg the truth to bend, it's easier to pretend than to see it when you're sober. Yeah, you only wake up when it's over. You only wake up when it's over. You only wake up when it's over. You only wake up when it's over.
Michael Logen, welcome to A Song Can Change Your Life. Great to see you, my friend.
It's good to be back, man. Thanks for having me.
Wow, you're such a family member of our live shows, our Home by Dark concerts. It's just always natural and always just good to see you. You're one of us.
I'm honored to be, man. Thank you.
Well, and I love your music. And a couple things I wanted to start off by telling you. One is the first time I played with you was at the Bluebird Cafe years ago. And then we've done a lot of Home by Dark shows since then.
Right.
And your hair is always, looks like you just came from the barber, man. It's like, how often do you go to the barber? Because it looks like you just got it cut every time I see you. It's amazing.
I get it cut every single morning as soon as I wake up. That's how I wake up.
It's incredible, man. No. When my hair gets shaggy, I go, man, Michael Logen would be so disappointed in me.
Well, thank you, man.
It's amazing.
No, I do go on a fairly regular basis.
Well, well, you big time songwriters,
for better or worse.
Yeah, I love it. So I have when I think of you, I have two memories that stick out. Many performance memories, but two things stick out that to me define, in part, who you are. One is we were playing at a farm not about 10 miles from here, and Chucker Farm in Alpharetta.
Yeah.
And you're singing this beautiful, slow ballad, meaningful, poignant song. And a bug flies right into your mouth. I
mean, not just any bug, but like a cicada or something with a lot of protein. It was a June bug or something significant.
It was a significant flying object that went right in. And here's what's amazing to me. Here's why that memory sticks with me. One is, right in the middle of this beautiful song, you just stop everything and say, excuse me, but this bug the size of a 747 just flew into my mouth. And you stop. The crowd laughed. It was a very funny moment and a great relief. And then you were able to transition right back into the song again. And it was amazing. You went from poignancy to hilarity back to poignancy. And I thought, ever since that time, I said, this man, A, has supreme confidence that he can manipulate an audience to do that. And then B, just your professionalism, man. It came at you, you handle it, you handle it like a man, and you went right back into it. It's amazing. So kudos to you professionalism and confidence is Michael Logen.
Well, thank you, man. I didn't have an option of not stopping. Do you know what I mean? Because it was in my mouth.
You would have had to chew.
I would have had to at least stop to chew, and then we moved into the chorus.
That's hilarious. And then the second memory that sticks out to me is you've played a lot of shows with us. Anytime we go out of state, out of Georgia, you go with us a lot of times. And so we were outside of Denver in Loveland, Colorado at the Rialto Theater. And I had to get off stage to go into the lobby to talk to ticketing or something. And I come back into the performance hall and you're sound checking. And you're doing, I think, your song Human After All, I think, which is a really beautiful, just a beautiful song. And it's sound check. And you're delivering this song in sound check perfectly and with sincerity and with the emotion that song carries, just pristine. And you could tell by observing you that you're focused entirely on the song and presenting it in a sound check to basically just a couple of us in the room. And it always stuck with me because and I've even sound checking today, doing some things, you always honor and respect the song. And I don't know if you're aware of that, but in sound check often, we can goof off and just get the levels, but you always seem to treat that song with great care and respect. Is that something you're conscious of, or you've always done, or is that even register to you?
Well, thank you. I mean, that's kind of you to say that, man. I've never thought about that. I've never consciously, like in a sound check. I don't know. I wonder if, especially a song like "Human After All" or something like that, is there's music has this depth to it that is a feeling, like it's a I don't quite know how to say it, but I guess that's what I'm doing is just playing music. For me, my earliest memories, I mean, back before I see pictures of me, playing guitar and piano and things, where I grew up in a family where my dad was a guitar player and banjo player, my brother played guitar, my mom sang, my sister played the piano. And so I don't know, I guess it's just a very it must be something I just fall into without thinking about it to play.
I think it's ingrained in you somehow along your journey, because it's not just notes and lyrics. It's like this living thing. And I remember, because I think it's somewhere on our YouTube channel, some of that song in Soundcheck, because I was captivated by it. And I've never forgotten it, because it made me think, this isn't just lyrics and the right notes. It's this living thing. And Michael's really treating it as such. And so I'm never going to disrespect it. I'm going to present it, whether it's me by myself or 1,000 people. I'm going to treat it respect, and I've tried to honor that when I play as well. It's like, and I got that from you.
Thank you, James. That means a lot to me.
It's very cool. So tell me, you alluded to your family musically coming up. Tell us a little bit about growing up in northern Pennsylvania, and specifically what childhood was like for you and your family. It was different than mine.
Sure.
As far as tell our audience a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. I grew up in Lewisburg, which is a beautiful little Victorian river town in north central Pennsylvania, and it's a college town. Like Bucknell University is there, which the town's kind of built around that. And I was raised Mennonite in a Mennonite family, which is kind of in some ways associated with the Amish, but very different as well. But yeah, so that was, so we music was, I think in a lot of ways, a window to not a window to the world, but in some ways it was. Like we didn't have a TV and that kind of thing for me growing up, but we had a piano and a guitar, and I would just spend a ton of time doing that and playing, and it was a family thing as well. And so I started, I guess, trying to write songs or having ideas for like instrumental kinds of things around like I guess like 12 or 13 on the piano. And then my brother's 5 years older than I am, and he is a great songwriter and guitar player as well. And he also plays, and he said one day he was like, I don't remember why or how, but he was like, man, you should write. Like you should try to write some lyrics and try to write some songs. And my first instinct was that, I can't do that. That's, that's like saying you should like fly or whatever. It just wasn't on my radar really, but I loved music, and we all did. And so, but that was the spark and the encouragement and the belief, I guess, that, and he was a big influence on me. And so I kind of started the wheels turning. And then I started writing very terrible songs.
You can't write a clunker. So when you grew up as a kid without television, so was it just natural that was expected you'd play an instrument and be part of the musical family? like in my family, you was expected, you probably go out and play sports. And for you, you just, hey, at nighttime, we get together and we play music, or?
Yeah. And in fact, I think it probably was very similar to sports for a lot of families. And we played sports as well, but in our family, it was after dinner, Dad might pull out the guitar and start playing Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison. And my brother would start playing. And I think that made the impression on me that I wanted to jump in. And so eventually I learned to play the bass, which is very, one note at a time. And so I could kind of get my head around that. And then eventually my dad taught me a few chords on the guitar. And he was a truck driver, a long-distance truck driver. So he would bring home music, Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard and like classic country stuff and some folk like Peter, Paul, and Mary and Gordon Lightfoot and stuff like that. And that's what we would listen to.
Wow.
And try to play, And so my there were three, and my sister is a phenomenal piano player as well. And there was the three of us in our family, but in my extended family, there were 19 children on my mom's side.
Wow.
And 8 on my dad's side. And so family reunions were massive. And we would go to this cabin that my grandfather built on my mom's side, a hunting cabin up in the mountains of Pennsylvania. We still do, every July 4th, the whole side of the family with the 19 children who all got married and had kids. So now it's, I forget the math now, but I think it was close.
You're wearing name tags at this point.
Yeah. I mean, but what's crazy is we're pretty close. I mean, my first cousins, there's just so many, but because we would always go and we would sing a cappella, which was like on the front porch of the cabin. Everybody'd like have like a hymn sing.
Wow.
And that was I think that shaped probably my ear, like hearing 4-part harmony. Mm-hmm. Like in church, we only sang a cappella for my early childhood, and then it kind of transitioned. Over my lifetime, it transitioned into having instruments and that kind of thing. But yeah, it was a different way to grow up.
So how do you go from that kind of group, family, musical experience to solo singer-songwriter? Did it happen in Pennsylvania or after you moved?
I didn't know what I was doing. Like in high school, music was all consuming for me. I just loved it. I would come home from school, throw down my book bag, go sit at the piano for an hour and a half and just play. But I didn't have any sense of like, you can do this. Mm-hmm. It just didn't seem even like an option at all. And so I think it was this gradual process of I actually was asked and kind of invited to be like to do a voluntary service kind of a thing for a year after high school, playing music in prisons. Like mostly maximum security prisons in North America, Canada, the U.S., and I signed up for it and did that for almost 2 years after high school. We were on the road 300 days a year.
You're in a group of other musicians.
Other musicians who kind of did this full time. There was like a team that kind of did this full time, and then there were younger kind of volunteers that would come in and give a year or two of their time. Musicians.
So your experience going into this was in a house with no television, playing Johnny Cash and Gordon Lightfoot to maximum security prisons.
To death row conversations. Yeah, it was, growing up as a Mennonite, kid, farming on my grandparents' farm and stuff, to literally standing on, the criminally insane ward, death row, Pelican Bay, 8 floors down, playing for people in prison, man. It was an incredible experience. Very, very challenging at times. very eye-opening to the humanity. I think that was the main thing for me. Looking back, that was the main impression, was just the common humanity. You know, you go into a setting like that with fear,
Sure.
and this sense of like, well, I don't know what I'm going to find, and then, you know, having conversations with people who have had such radically different backgrounds and different life experiences, but you still have things a lot in common.
Yep.
And you see, you know, regret. You see a lot of situations that the person was under some kind of the influence of something, a drug or alcohol or whatever, and you just start to see how, you know, you could be there too, given their life and their situation, and that, you know. So not every time there were, you know, but there was a lot of that recognition of like, wow, we have so much in common, even in this disparate kind of a setting.
Do you think that experience affected what kind of a songwriter you became?
Yes, I think it. I'm sure it did.
Because when I listen to a lot of your music, it is, it's very authentic, but it's also there's a common thread of hopefulness, goodness to it. And then when you hear a story of where you were playing music inside places of dire circumstances, you would think that could shape you one way or the other, of being cynical and hardened a little bit, or as you're saying, you're seeing something that probably a lot of people probably don't see or couldn't see, is that the line between who I am on the outside free versus the person who is in here is much thinner than we may think when we criticize from the outside looking in.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, again, thank you, man. You're generous to say that. I hope, I think, because sometimes you would come out of those, you know, there's a heaviness often in a place like that. Not always, but, you know, there's a certain sadness and a certain heaviness in being there. And then in coming out, sometimes you would almost feel a little bit guilty for just going to McDonald's and ordering whatever you wanted, and the sun's shining. And it was a very strange thing. Sometimes we would go in for the weekend and kind of park the bus in the parking lot and just go in all day for 2 or 3 days, and eat in there and everything. So yeah, but I think some of the melancholy and some of the heaviness that sometimes is in stuff that I write was informed in part by that experience.
Maybe it gave you a sense of, you know, again, thinking of you and how I think when I listen to your music, maybe it gave you a sense of gratitude.
Yeah.
That you may not have had if you hadn't been in there.
Yeah, absolutely. A contrast to just an ordinary day on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you go from singing Johnny Cash in the living room to a maximum security prison. How do you make your way down to the music business in Nashville?
So after that experience, I went back home, and I felt kind of adrift, you know, like I had no idea what to do next or what came next. College was not really on my radar very much. And I worked actually on a painting crew, like house painting, like in high school, and then after high school, and I had kind of turned that into like a little business that I kind of did my own thing, and I would go and, you know, quote jobs and kind of do it. And I enjoyed that. It's very fulfilling, very like, unlike music in some ways, it's very defined, and it's very clear what your job is, and it's clear when you've done it, you know?
Yep.
And so I kind of felt in my head, maybe I'll build this business in my hometown, But music, we had gone through Nashville when I was on this in this prison outreach thing. We had gone through Nashville, and I went into this little like $20 tourist booth, a Loretta Lynn studio or something. It was like a very touristy, cheesy thing, and I recorded the first song I'd ever written in this little booth down on like Demonbreun Street. It's not there now, but I just look on that with like, that was such a cheesy thing to do, but kind of fun too. That, made that little recording. So Nashville made an impression on me that time. And then I had one friend who I went to high school with who had gone to this university called Trevecca University in Nashville. And, her mom was one of my teachers, and we were just somehow, kind of stayed in touch. And she would, I remember her calling me at the house and saying, "You need to move to Nashville. You should come to Trevecca. You should like apply for they have this scholarship where you can get like half of everything paid for, a music scholarship, and you should totally do it." And she just every once in a while would say that, and it kind of planted it. But again, it felt impossible, and I didn't, paying for college was, something I had no idea how to do, and that kind of thing. So to make a long story longer, at the very last possible day that I could possibly not, like the very end of the deadline where I could be at Trevecca and like enrollment, I called them the day before, and I was like, "If I got in my car tomorrow morning and drove down there, is it too late?" And they were like, "No, come on down."
We'll take your money.
So I got in the car the next morning, my little $250 hatchback that, barely ran, and I threw my guitar in there, and I drove there thinking I have enough money for one semester, and I will probably come back home and do this painting business. Like I just had no clue what I was doing.
Yeah.
But that got me to Nashville. Thankfully, I got the scholarship, which made it possible for me to stay. And that was...
It's a music scholarship.
As a music scholarship, yeah. And then I was there. Then I was in Nashville for 4 years. And I got a degree in music business just to kind of... I felt like business was something I needed. I struggled wrapping my mind around, especially the music business. So, and that's been helpful, copyright law and publishing and all that kind of thing. But mainly the mentors and the relationships that I had there, I think really shaped me in a good way. But that's what got me to Nashville.
Right.
And once I was there, I started to learn about publishing and songwriting and publishers who, might actually pay you to a living salary so you could write full time and then hopefully make things happen. That was a universe I wasn't even aware of. And I think most people aren't until I got there. And it just so happens that Nashville is one of the great cities for that approach to songwriting as well. So yeah, then after graduation, I again, you're kind of like, well, what next? This grand crossroads. And I was valet parking at the Marriott Hotel.
In Nashville, you stayed in Nashville.
Stayed in Nashville, yep. And I just wasn't sure what was next. And I was reached out to the one person I knew at ASCAP, which is American Society of Composers and Publishers. And he, on my behalf, reached out to a publisher, which I've learned since is very uncommon. It's just hard to get through at all. And they offered me a publishing deal.
Wow.
And I signed it, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And that was kind of the start of like I quit valeting and just started writing every single day, and then co-writing. And I was just learning, still am, just constantly trying to learn,
How long, so you got the publishing deal, how long before you got traction on songs, either as cuts or placements on television? When did that start to happen for you?
Sure. That, that really took probably 4 years of writing every single day and them giving feedback, going into the studio, recording demos.
Was your ambition to be a writer versus a performer?
It was always both, and it still is. But the songwriter side is heavy. Do you know what I mean? There's a strong bias for me. It's like songwriting isn't just kind of the well, I guess I'll do that if I have to kind of thing. Ever since the beginning, I remember writing songs. I loved Alison Krauss and still do, but I remember being a kid and trying to write songs and thinking of her voice singing it, and just knowing that this wasn't for me. And somehow that awareness of being able to, or wanting to, sometimes just having ideas like in different genres, and the creative freedom that comes with not only just writing for yourself, but writing for other people and writing with other people. It's creatively, to me, inspiring. I enjoy it, and I also enjoy writing alone. And it seems like the things that I write alone often end up being stuff I put on a record and maybe works in like a TV show or a film or something like that. And a lot of times, if I'm co-writing, I'm thinking outside of myself as an artist project or whatever. I'm thinking of either the person I'm writing for or with, or a specific TV show or series that is looking for something in particular. And that's fun. It's kind of nice to have those parameters. And then when you're writing for yourself, as the artist, in some ways it's harder. It's more confessional, maybe. It's more personal.
You don't seem like a guy to me that ever panics, that stresses out, because you go from your painting job and you last second, I'm going to go down to Nashville, go to school, and then when you graduate, no real plan, and then sort of you just keep moving forward, and I'm sure there's stress. I'm sure you have stress like every human, but I'm wondering if, and maybe it goes back to that, what your parents ingrained in you, some of that early experience in those prisons, et cetera, that there's a thread of this hopefulness that I'm not going to freak out with what life brings me. I'm just going to keep moving forward and choose to be sort of optimistic of what may be down the road. And that's what was going through my head as I started listening to this song I want to talk to you about that you wrote with Jennifer Hansen, called Here's to Hopin'. And it's relatively new for you guys. I think you just wrote it last year or so during some of the chaos in the world when people are freaking out and stressing.
Right.
But the Michael Logen mantra of gratitude and hopefulness kind of shines through in this song. Maybe that's why I like it so much. But tell me how this song came about, how you guys wrote it, what you were thinking, and what you're doing with it.
Man, the timing of it, that whole project. Jennifer Hansen has been a friend of mine for years, and we wrote every week there for a long time.
You wrote the Kelly Clarkson song with her.
Yeah. That was the first thing we ever wrote together. Was a song called "Breaking Your Own Heart," and Kelly Clarkson ended up recording it, which we were both super grateful for. And so yeah, and we had just been writing. Jennifer's a fantastic artist as well, and a killer songwriter, and so we had this body of songs, and it was kind of like, it was Jennifer that said we should do an EP and put it out. We should put these songs out into the world. And Nick Brophy, her boyfriend, is a phenomenal, one of the best producers and engineers that I know. I mean, he's just phenomenal. And he helped us, he helped us write some of it. He recorded it. And so Here's to Hoping was the name of that EP. And we were working on it before the pandemic, kicked in, before we knew any of that stuff was going to happen, of course. But then that started to happen, and we actually ran into a situation where we we had to finish some of it remotely. We had to figure out how to like send files back and forth and that kind of a thing to get it done. And so then the Here's to Hoping, we kind of finished up right at the beginning of all that, the song, and it felt especially timely or something, because of what was going on and this feeling of like, dread or doom that I think, all of us probably experienced at different points of like just not knowing what in the world is happening or going to happen. And so it seems like people have really, so we put it out just independently, and people really seem to respond to it. And then Rolling Stone magazine country, edition, I guess, whatever, actually picked it up and made it one of their picks, recommended listening kind of a thing, which was very surprising and really cool, especially for like a really small indie project. And so people just seem to have connected with it.
Yeah. So when you play it out live, is it one of the songs that you're getting a good reaction from, that people are going, "Hey, thanks for that"?
Yeah. I think it stands out in the current environment.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I'll read a little bit of it, the first verse and chorus, but there's a red sky falling behind. There's a road sweeping out from under us that winds. And these two lines, like our dreams, they're stretching out like bright white limousines. Oh, here we go again into the great wide open. Oh, here we go, my friend. There's no way of knowing when or how. It's all going to play out. So here we go again. Honey, here's to hoping. And so when I read that and when I interpret that, it's this metaphor for not just what we've gone through as a world, but just in life, it's kind of like, what I just described as your story a little bit. We're all moving forward, but we have this choice. We have this choice that sometimes I don't think we realize we have that choice. And when you got all the bad news coming at you 24/7, but you're moving down this road, you can choose to be pessimistic and dread, or you can choose like the people in this song. And I envision these two people in a car, just tip their coffee cups to each other and go, "Well, here's to hoping." We're going this direction anyway. Let's choose to be hopeful of what's ahead of us. Is that sort of where you were coming from with it?
Yeah. And I mean, you know how it is with songwriting. A lot of times you don't fully know what you're feeling or saying. That's part of the process. Songwriting is an excavation of, right. And then you look back and you say, yeah, that like all of that was going into this song. The desire to have hope and to keep that muscle active. To choose to. There's this amazing exercise where you look around the room, you close your eyes, and you say, okay, when you open your eyes, I want you to notice. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to notice everything in the room that's brown. And so you look around, look, try to capture everything that's brown, and then you close your eyes and say, okay, now tell me everything in the room that's green. And you just weren't looking for green. Right. And so you can't, and then you open your eyes and you look around, you see what's green. And it's this age-old exercise, but I remember hearing that one time and it really struck me. I did it and I couldn't remember anything that was green. And it was this powerful thing of like, when you, what you focus on is really important. And we do have some measure of choice in that. And the room contained both brown and green the whole time. It was the same room. But the power of focus and choice is so powerful. And that, I feel like a motivational speaker or something. But those things are true. And I do try to live my life by them because, I guess maybe that's what faith is. That's what hope is looking for the good, looking for things to be grateful for. And the more you do that, the more your brain goes there, the more your attention goes there. and eventually, even how you feel can catch up, and that kind of a thing. And I think we need the human spirit, the courage that it takes to be a person in this world, just to live, is remarkable. The human spirit is remarkable to me because life is incredibly challenging and incredibly difficult for everybody in their different ways. And so I think, the idea of hope is really a beautiful thing because it's a testament to courage.
Yeah. Well, I'm 100% on board. That's why I think this song is powerful and why it's perfect for A Song Can Change Your Life. It's a gentle, creative reminder for people to think that way. And just to give you an example of how I've applied it just this morning, had a busy morning before we came over here to record, and I went running, a long run this morning. And I had to start in the dark and finish in the dark. And I forgot my headlamp. And I live out in the country.
Right.
And so there's sections I can't see.
Yeah.
But all I can see, I'm running on I chose to run on some of the bigger roads near me that have the two lines going down, which you refer to in this song.
Yeah.
And so the only way I could see going down the road was to stay on those lines. And I did. And when you're running for several hours, and I was thinking of the lyrics of this song, and I was thinking of, trying not to focus on, I'm fatigued, my legs are tired,
right,
my breath, I still got 10 more miles, whatever to go. And but I was choosing to say, hey, I'm strong enough to do this. I'm healthy. My miles ahead may feel better. And I was projecting when I was finished, and I was remembering something that someone told me one time, kind of like your brown and green experiment, was that sort of self-talk, is that if we tell ourselves, even if we're not feeling it in the moment, I feel good, I feel strong, I'm killing this, I can do this, that it actually has a physiological effect on us.
Right.
And so I remembered that, I remembered this song, and that's why songwriting is so powerful to me, why songwriters have such value in the world. There's people like Michael Logen coming into our world and creating something that's beautiful, easy to listen to, that we want to absorb it. And then the bonus, we get this message that says, hey man, you've got a choice to be hopeful today or not. And there's a junk all around us coming at us, but what are you gonna do? You're gonna choose that, or are you gonna choose the hopeful route?
Right.
And it changes, Michael, it changes lives. It changes lives, it changed my life. I know this song, people have heard it, will change their lives. Thank you for writing it. Thank you for being our guest on A Song Can Change Your Life. You're a dear friend. Thank you for all you've done for Home by Dark and for us. And I love you. I appreciate you. And I hope very much that people will get this song. How is this on? This was on the record you guys put out together.
Yes, it's the title of the EP as well. So it's just Here's to Hoping, and it's on all the usual suspects. Yeah.
So if you're listening to this, go download it.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, I'll give your money back. How about that? How about that?
That's a guarantee.
Awesome.
Casto.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, James, for having me. Appreciate you,
Sure,
my
man.
friend. There's a red sky falling behind. There's a road sweeping out from under us that winds. And these two lines, like our dreams, are stretching out like bright white limousines. Oh, here we go again, into the great wide open. Oh, here we go, my friend. There's no way of knowing when or how it's gonna all play out. So, oh, here we go again. Honey, here's to hoping. And the future moving over the mountains, kissing the prairie plain, washing away all our tired regrets, so we can live each moment like it hasn't happened yet. Oh, here we go again, into the great wide open. Oh, here we go, my friend. There's no way of knowing when or how it's gonna all play out. So, oh, here we go again. Honey, here's to hope. Oh, here we go again, into the great wide open. Oh, here we go, my friend. There's no way of knowing when or how it's gonna all play out. So, oh, here we go again. Honey, here's to hope.